What you're looking at here in the video is one of India's most successful electric cars for the year 2024. It's also the Indian Green Car of the year 2025. Yes, we're talking about the MG Windsor. Now, when the car had been launched in late last year, we had a chance to drive it, check out its features, and of course, tell you some pros and cons. And today, we're going to answer a very important question with it, which is what's the real world range? Now, before we begin the range test and tell you how we do it and what the car achieved, here are some of the numbers. Let's lay them out for you. Sitting under this car is a 38 kilowatt hour battery pack offering a claimed range of 332 kilometers. There's a single motor powering the front wheels that produces 134 bhp and 200 Nm of torque. Now, in terms of charging, the fastest that you can go for is a 45 kilowatt hour charger where you can go from 20 to 80% in just 55 minutes. When you connect it to the wall box charger of 7.4 kilowatt hour, you can get the car fully juiced up in 6.5 hours. How do we do this real world range test? We charge up the car to full and then drive it till the battery runs out in a mixture of city and highway conditions. In between, we keep track in 10% increments of how the range drops. Now, we drive the car beyond the 0% mark and ensure that it runs out completely and then connect it back to the charger, and that gives us a real world range.
In our real world range test, we charged up the car and at the 100% mark, we had a range of 320 kilometers. At the 90% mark, the range dropped to 286 kilometers. At the 85% mark, we were down to 272 kilometers. At the 70% mark, we were down to 221 kilometers, the largest drop in range so far. At 60% range, we had 192 kilometers. So far, we had been looking at small decrements, but now we decided to push further, and down the line at the 35% mark, we had a range of 111 kilometers. Dropping down to 24%, we had a range of 75 kilometers. At the 20% mark, we were down to 64 kilometers, while at the 15% mark, the range dropped to 46 kilometers. And by this point, you can see the infotainment system had changed the color of the screen to indicate that we were moving into the danger zone. Moving into the last 10%, we went from 32 to 16 kilometers at the 5% mark. By this point, the car had stopped the climate control system but kept both the displays as well as the wireless phone charger running. All things considered, the Windsor managed to cover a distance of 264 kilometers before the battery went completely dead and the car wouldn't move on its own power. It achieved 80% of its claimed range of 331 kilometers, which is quite impressive given that all mainstream EVs that we have tested so far performed between 70 to 75% of their claimed range.
Now we've told you about the real world range of the MG Windsor and also what the percentage drops were like as the kilometers went by. But let's also remember what it's like to drive. We have of course comprehensively driven it when we got the car, but here is a small recollection. Now let's look at two aspects. One is the powertrain and the second one is ride quality. We say ride quality because MG is emphasizing on a nice rear seat package, and that is one of the things that plays into ride quality. Powertrain is nice and zippy, 38 kilowatt hour battery pack, about 134 bhp and 200 Nm of torque, powering the front wheels. Now you get some drive modes, and when you put it into the sportiest drive mode, the car is pretty fast, and it kind of just goes along. Here, I'll show you. Let me just get a chance to do that. I've put the car in sports mode with a light energy recovery, which means the throttle lightens up. Now, I just gas it and it takes off. Right here, even here on the concrete road, it's pretty fast. Not an issue at all. Very fast, very zippy powertrain, quick to drive on. Right? So you're never going to be short of power and motivation in a car like this. The other big aspect that we're talking about is ride quality. Now the ride is on the firmer side, and that's because there's a large battery pack underneath that MG needs to compensate for, and has thus made it slightly on the firmer side, but it's not uncomfortable. It actually glides over everything very nicely. It's got these really large tires and wheels that match the size of the vehicle and help it glide over everything. It's only when you get to the really sharp, the jagged edge stuff, those really deep ruts and potholes, that it does tend to displace. but it does tend to settle quickly. It's actually it rides pretty decently that way. And like we said, having good ride quality ties into the rear seat package that MG is trying to sell. The reclining rear seat, the space at the back, some of the features, it does ride nicely, though like we said, slightly on the firmer side. Before we sign off from this video, here are a few highlights of this MG Windsor. Now, in terms of exterior design, some of the major highlights include scowl-like design in front, the large 17-inch diamond-cut alloy wheels that look a tad bit conservative but give the car a nice appearance. You also get pop-out door handles on the side and a connected tail lamp set at the rear. Step inside the cabin and you can see leatherette all around. There are two massive screens with the passenger one almost 12.3 inches and covering most of the functions in the vehicle. For India specifically, MG has put the AC controls outside. Some of the major feature highlights include LED headlamps, connected car technology, these massive dual digital displays, and one of the car's main USPs, which is a rear seat package. The rear seat reclines and it's got this sort of quilted material. The rear seat reclines into the back and you get a 135-degree recline. There is no power function for it, but it's still a very comfortable place to be in. Now, because this is an EV built on a skateboard platform, you do get a lot of legroom at the back. Though the features in the back aren't that great. You get seat back pockets, door pockets, and USB-C charging ports, as well as rear AC vents. For all the details on this MG Windsor, do visit our website carwale.com.
So there you have it, our real world range of the MG Windsor EV. You want us to find out more things on the car? Do let us know in the comment section below, and you can check out all the details on the MG Windsor EV in our model pages. Also, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the CarWale YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.